Facing my worst case scenario is one of the most powerful tools that I use to release my blockages, my fears, and my wounds, and really like heal. I've discovered this a few years ago and I still use it to this day. I've used it like a few weeks ago to heal some huge chunks of shit inside of me. And so what is it to face the worst case scenario? Is that when we are scared of something, like, oh, I'm scared that my boyfriend will break up with me, I'm scared to go broke, I'm scared to lose my job, I'm scared to be rejected, and all those things, it's because there's a story, there's a conditioning around that. If I go broke, I won't be loved. If my boyfriend breaks up with me, I'll be alone. And the fear of having this circumstance happen eats you alive. Like, it controls your well-being and you're constantly in this state of fight or flight and of trying to fix and of trying to keep everything together and of trying to make sure that this thing doesn't happen. And oftentimes it doesn't happen, but it could happen. But over fixating on the fact that this could happen doesn't make it not happen if it's to happen. It just makes your present moment that much heavier and that much rooted in fear, anxiety, and scarcity. And in some way, it can even make that situation happen. So let's say you're so scared that your partner is going to break up with you and you're constantly trying to prove yourself to him or to her, constantly asking them like, oh, do you love me? Do you this? Do you that? And maybe the fact that you're such into this state of fear will push them away, or that you will do things to push them away, because that's how the brain plays tricks on you. Your subconscious mind, if it believes something or it's scared of something, it's going to over fixate on that thing and it's going to try to prove that this thing is real, and it's going to create a reality in which this thing is real. So if you're so scared that my boyfriend is going to break up with me, or I'm going to go broke, you are going to create a reality through your actions to go broke or to have your partner break up with you, because our beliefs are self-prophecies. Like, it's deep like that, yes. And so as long as you don't face that fear, as long as you don't become okay with that possibly happening, it's going to continue to control you. So let's imagine that this fear is a separate entity. So there's you as a whole, and then there's this fear, this belief that this thing will happen. It's something separate, because in a way, it got dropped into you. It doesn't belong to you. The fear is not you. It's just something you were conditioned to believe through your traumas, through your life experiences, through just the conditionings around you. And you created a story around that if I'm alone, I am not loved, or I'm scared of being alone because I was rejected when I was young. I'm scared to be rejected. I'm scared to go broke because it means that I'm a failure. Whatever story you created around that. And that's just something that was learned. And now this thing is living inside of you, but it's not you, it's a separate entity. And it's continuously sending you input. It's like acting as a lens through the way you perceive your reality. And it's constantly sending you messages like, don't do this, this will happen. It's trying to protect you in a way because it's scared. And it wants the best for you in a way. It's trying to protect you from something bad happening, but it's actually not helping at all. And it's creating more harm than good. But let's imagine this fear. It's just like a really scared dog. It's a stray dog outside, scared and terrified, and there's someone trying to give them food, and they're so scared that they're not taking the food and they're trying to attack the human or whatever. They're trying to bite them and they're growling when the human is just trying to help them. So this is the energy of the fear. Like, the fear thinks it's protecting itself by being overprotective and trying to attack and trying to be preventive, but actually there's something better, something that can help you, and this thing is hindering you from receiving the help you need, from moving in a place that would be helpful for you. So what happens when you face this? When you look at this fear and you say, I'm okay with my partner breaking up with me. I'm okay with possibly being alone for the rest of my days. I'm okay with going broke. I'm okay with not having kids. Let's say you want to have children and you're scared that it won't happen. Becoming okay with what is for you, what is for that fear, the worst case scenario. And how do we get to know what the worst case scenario is? Well, it's all a game of like self-awareness and digging within you. But let's say you have a fear of your partner breaking up with you. You can try to dig deeper by being like, what if my partner breaks up with me? Well, I'll be alone. What if I'm alone? Well, I'll feel lonely. What if I feel lonely? Well, I'll feel that I'm not loved by anyone. What if I feel that I'm not loved by anyone? And maybe sometimes it just stops there. And it's like, well, I'm scared of not being loved. I'm scared of dying alone. And oftentimes for me, a cue that I really touched it is when I start crying. It can be different for you, but sometimes when I go down this path and I'm like, what if? And then tears start coming up, I'm like, okay, there's something there. And I allow myself to be in that state of like, what if I die alone? Can I be okay with this? And then I cry. It's not about forcing yourself to be okay with it, but it's about facing it. And facing the fact that, what if this happens? Because you have no control over the fact of if it happens or not. And obsessing over the fact that it happens won't make it not happen. And I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but what if it happens and you have no control over it? What is the best? Is it to continue resisting, or is it to just surrender? To just be like, hey, let me be okay with this because it's out of my hands. And oftentimes the fact that we become okay with it, we become at peace with it, it doesn't happen. That's the irony of it all. The fact of obsessing, of not wanting it to happen, we feel like we're preventing it from happening, but we're not. And the fact of being okay, accepting it, will often not make it happen because we're not operating on that frequency anymore. And we're opening ourselves to another reality. We're opening ourselves, let's say we're scared of dying alone, we're opening ourselves to love because we're in peace with being alone. And then we are in a state of love and we are allowing ourselves to find love on the external because we already cultivated it inside. Just like when we're scared of missing out on money, we are in a state of lack. And so if our internal state is in lack, how can we build lack in the external? But if we feel okay with being in lack, we are in a state of abundance. And abundance has no choice to be our reality. Because there's two things that happens here. Okay, let's say you're afraid of going broke. And tomorrow you win $1 million. You win the lottery. It's going to be a temporary fix. If you didn't face that fear, for a moment you might be like, oh my God, finally I don't need to worry anymore. And that fear is going to be for a little moment in a state of convenience. Like, okay, there's $1 million, I can rest, I could take a nap. But it's gonna come back because it's still this separate entity that never got released. It's like stagnant energy stuck inside of you, and it's still gonna come back no matter what your external circumstances are. So maybe there's a moment where that fear is gonna see you spending $1 million, like you're gonna be whatever, buying a house and whatever. And it's going to be saying, oh, but what if we miss out? What if we miss out? What if there's not enough? And that fear is going to start controlling you. And because you're so scared of not having enough, you might just spend it all. But even if you don't spend it all, you'll still be in a state of worrisome, still be in a state of lack, even if you don't have lack, even if you have so much. If, let's say, you liberate this fear and tomorrow you win $1 million, you might invest it differently, or you might just receive it more. And know that, hey, I created $1 million, I attracted that, I could continue to attract money towards me, period. So facing this worst case scenario is always a benefit for you. It's always gonna help to improve your everyday life, and it just really helps to heal. It helps to allow this fear to dissipate because it doesn't need to protect itself anymore. Because if it's so scared of something happening and you allow yourself to imagine that it's happening right now, and you make peace with it, this thing just feels seen, it feels heard, and it doesn't have power anymore. It's just there that you're gonna cry, you're gonna release it, and it's gonna leave. There can be remainings because healing is not a one-time thing. Sometimes we need to heal something over and over again, and there's like different layers to it. So this is a process I do with myself, and sometimes I need to heal the same thing, but there's a progression. It doesn't mean it's not working, it's just a process of healing and a process of life. And so if you're in resistance with facing this worst case scenario, just know that not facing it is harmful to you and it doesn't help you in any way. Wouldn't we much rather just be at peace? It doesn't mean we're accepting situations and we're creating more of it. Like if we're at peace with something, we are reclaiming our power and we are saying, I don't need anything on the external to feel good. I will feel good no matter what. And then first of all, the lens through which we're viewing things will change, and we might see opportunities and abundance and love in places we would have not seen it when this fear was there. But it's also just a simple fact of feeling better in this present moment and not attaching ourselves to something external and to something that we're scared to happen. It just feels so much more empowering and so much more like we're not giving our power away to circumstances, because we're so much bigger than these circumstances. And the things we think we need to achieve and the things we think we need to have, or to be happy or to be fulfilled or to be successful, they're all created. Overall, we are all valuable and worthy exactly as we are. So whatever you're going through right now, do this exercise to be like, what if this happens? I had done this on this channel last year at the beginning of the channel, and I'll tag the video right here if you want to see an example of the process I went through. So I was working on a wound of rejection inside of me, and I was so scared, like in my subconscious, like even if I had rationalized it already and worked on this for years already, in my subconscious there was still a story that was terrified of being rejected, and it felt like if I'm rejected, like the death of me. Like it felt like it's the most horrible thing, and I would constantly try to avoid rejection, and I was working a lot on that wound. I did use this technique of being like, what if I'm rejected? What if not even just I'm rejected, the whole world rejects me? No one ever sees my worth. No one ever sees my beauty. So I'm not going to repeat everything I said in the video. I think it's like 3 minutes long, so you can watch it. And I came to the conclusion from going there and crying, and it was not just a one-time thing, but it was on a process of a few months, I think. I came to the conclusion of like, hey, what if this happens? I would be the only one that has the ability to not reject myself, to see myself. So I would live such an intimate experience with myself. The entire world rejects me, but I have the ability to not reject me. Like this would create such a intimate experience with myself and the universe and God and my soul, and that would be beautiful. So not only did I face the worst case scenario, but I even turned it around as something beautiful. But before doing that, I had to face also and just like cry out the what if I'm rejected by the whole world? What if? And just sit with that. Sit with that discomfort and allow it to be okay. Much love to you. Hope this video inspired you.